Transformation does not arrive in a single blinding moment. It unfolds quietly, like dawn breaking across the horizon. The psychology of self-transformation is less about forcing change and more about awakening to the truth that you are already in motion, already part of a design far greater than you can see. Every challenge you've faced, every silence that felt like absence, has been shaping you, carving depth into your spirit, preparing you for what comes next. Life is not random, it is a symphony, each note, whether bright or broken, woven into a harmony beyond our comprehension. To resist change is to resist the very rhythm of your becoming. But when you surrender, when you allow yourself to be reshaped by both light and shadow, you step into alignment with your own divine unfolding. And here lies the wonder. Your journey is not separate from the whole. It is the very thread that completes the tapestry of existence. Transformation rarely arrives as thunder, it often whispers, unfolding slowly like dawn across a restless horizon. The psychology of self-transformation is not about reinventing yourself in one dramatic leap, but about awakening to the truth that every moment, every stumble, every silence, every surge of courage is already shaping you. You are not separate from the rhythm of life. You are woven into its fabric, carried forward by a design too intricate to fully grasp. The struggles you resist, the pauses you fear, the questions that haunt you, these are not detours, but the very movements that sculpt your becoming. Life is a vast symphony, and even your darkest notes give depth to the melody. To transform is not to discard who you were, but to discover the hidden music within you, waiting to rise. And perhaps the most profound realization of all is this: your transformation is not for you alone. It is the note that completes the harmony of the whole. Awareness is the birthplace of transformation. Before any change happens in our lives, before the new job, the healthier habits, the deeper relationships, there is first a moment when we wake up to ourselves. It's not dramatic. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or trumpets. More often it feels like a whisper, a quiet nudge inside you that says, asterisk, something has to shift. Asterisk, that whisper is awareness, and it's the spark that ignites everything else. We tend to think transformation begins with action, with doing more, fixing more, pushing harder. But here's the truth: you cannot change what you are unwilling to see. And so the psychology of self-transformation always begins with noticing. Noticing the stories you've been telling yourself. Noticing the patterns you fall into on repeat. Noticing how your fear dresses itself up as logic and convinces you to stay small. Awareness is not always comfortable. It shines a light on the very places we'd rather keep hidden. But that light is what gives us the chance to choose differently. Think about it. Every major change in your life began with a moment of awareness. You realized a relationship was draining your spirit. You noticed the way you were numbing yourself instead of facing what was painful. You caught yourself repeating the same excuses over and over, and once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. That's the power of awareness. It calls you forward. Awareness is not judgment. It's not beating yourself up for how long it's taken or how many times you've stumbled. Awareness is simply telling yourself the truth with compassion. It's holding up a mirror and saying, asterisk, this is where I am. Asterisk, not where I wish I was, not where I used to be, where I am right now. And from that honesty, change becomes possible. The incredible thing about awareness is how it begins to expand once you allow it in. You notice one small thing, and suddenly the world starts showing you more. Patterns become clearer. Possibilities start revealing themselves. What once felt foggy begins to sharpen, and you begin to sense the difference between the life you've been living on autopilot and the life you're capable of creating. This is why awareness feels so sacred. It's not passive, it's an invitation. An invitation to step out of the sleepwalking we all fall into and remember that you are an active participant in the unfolding of your life. It reminds you that transformation is not something that happens to you. It's something that begins inside you the moment you decide to pay attention. And yes, paying attention takes courage. It means sitting with the uncomfortable truth that some of your pain is self-created. It means acknowledging that the way you've been protecting yourself might also be the thing keeping you stuck. It means owning the fact that, while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can always choose how you meet it. That's awareness, and it's the key that unlocks the door to change. So many of us wait for life to shake us awake. We wait for the crisis, the loss, the burnout, before we finally see what's not working. But awareness doesn't have to come wrapped in catastrophe. It can come in the ordinary moments if you're willing to listen. It's in the quiet ache of dissatisfaction. It's in the restless energy you feel when you know you're meant for more. It's in the gap between the life you imagine and the one you're living. That whisper inside you. It's not random. It's not meaningless. It's your awareness calling you back to yourself. And the moment you choose to listen, really listen, you've already begun to transform. Transformation begins the instant you dare to see yourself clearly. Struggle is one of the most misunderstood parts of being human. We treat it like an interruption, like some detour that takes us away from the life we're supposed to be living. We fight it, avoid it, resent it. But what if struggle isn't an interruption at all? What if it's the very ground where transformation takes root? The truth is, struggle is alchemy. It takes what feels heavy, raw, and unbearable, and it reshapes it into strength, wisdom, and depth. Think about your own story, the moments that stretched you, the seasons that nearly broke you. Those are the ones that changed you the most. Struggle has a way of burning off the excess, stripping you down to what's essential. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you would never face if life stayed easy. That heartbreak taught you resilience. That failure taught you humility. That loss taught you how to live with gratitude for what remains. Struggle transforms pain into power, and yet, in the moment, it feels anything but noble. It feels messy. You don't wake up in the middle of hardship and think, wow, what a sacred invitation to grow. No, you feel tired, angry, lost. That's the paradox. Transformation rarely looks like transformation when you're in the thick of it. It looks like chaos. But that chaos is the crucible where the old version of you is breaking apart so the new one can emerge. If you look at nature, you'll see this truth everywhere. A seed has to crack open for new life to push through. A caterpillar has to dissolve in the darkness of the chrysalis before it becomes a butterfly. There's no growth without struggle, no transformation without pressure, no new chapter without something old falling apart. The same is true for us. What we call struggle, life calls preparation. The psychology of self-transformation asks us to stop resisting this process and start engaging with it. Instead of asking, why me? Try asking, what is this here to teach me? That question shifts everything. Suddenly, the struggle isn't just random suffering. It becomes a teacher. You begin to see patterns. You begin to recognize strengths you didn't know you had. You begin to realize that what you thought was breaking you is actually building you into someone who can carry more. This doesn't mean romanticizing struggle or pretending it's easy. It's not. Struggle hurts. It takes something from you, but it also gives something back, something you couldn't have accessed any other way. And when you begin to see struggle as part of the path rather than a detour, the fear of it loosens its grip. You stop asking, how do I avoid it? And start asking, how do I walk through it with open eyes? Every struggle in your life has brought you here to this very moment. And here's the part we often miss. Your struggle doesn't just transform you, it ripples outward. It equips you to lift someone else who is stumbling. It gives your story the power to reach another human heart. Your resilience becomes a light for others still walking in the dark. That's the interconnectedness of this whole process. Your struggle was never just about you. It's about all of us. So when you find yourself in the middle of hardship, remember this. Struggle is not proof that you're weak or off course. It's proof that you're being shaped into someone new. It's the raw material of transformation, and though it doesn't feel like it now, one day you'll look back and see it clearly. You weren't breaking, you were becoming. Struggle is not the enemy of transformation. It's the very fire that forges it. Stillness is one of the hardest things for us to accept, especially when we're on the edge of change. After failure, after struggle, after a season of loss, there's often this silence that follows, and it feels unbearable. You're not moving forward yet. You're not who you used to be, and you're not where you want to be either. It feels like being suspended in midair. We start to panic in that space. We call it being stuck. We call it wasted time. But what if that silence isn't empty at all? What if it's the most fertile part of transformation? Think about music. The beauty of a song doesn't come from sound alone. It comes from the pauses, the rests, the silences that give shape to the melody. Without them, it's just noise. Life works in the same way. The moments when nothing seems to be happening are not meaningless. They're shaping the rhythm. They're making space for the next movement of your becoming. The psychology of self-transformation teaches us that the mind resists these pauses because we're conditioned to equate busyness with progress. If we're not moving, we assume we're failing. If we can't see change happening, we convince ourselves nothing is working. But transformation is often invisible before it becomes visible. Just because you can't measure it doesn't mean it isn't happening. Seeds sprout in the dark long before they break through the soil. Muscles strengthen in the rest phase, not just in the workout. Our souls are the same. Stillness is not absence, it's incubation. And here's the thing, silence forces us inward. When the noise dies down, when distractions fall away, we come face to face with ourselves. And that's not easy. It means hearing the doubts we've been outrunning. It means sitting with the grief we've been avoiding. It means confronting the fear we've tried to silence. But it's in that confrontation that we find clarity. In the quiet, truths rise to the surface that we could never hear in the chaos. I know it doesn't feel like progress. It feels like waiting, and waiting feels powerless. But the pause is not passive. The pause is potent. It's preparing you for the next step, aligning you with the strength you'll need when the rhythm picks back up. You're not stuck. You're being readied. If you look back on your life, I guarantee some of your biggest breakthroughs came after a season of silence. That period when nothing seemed to be happening was actually when everything was shifting beneath the surface. The new path was forming, the right people were moving closer, the wisdom was settling into you. Silence is not the absence of transformation. It's the hidden stage where transformation matures. The challenge is to stop resisting it, to stop filling the silence with noise just because it's uncomfortable. To trust that even when life feels paused, the music has not stopped. It's simply building toward something new. When you learn to embrace stillness, you stop panicking in the quiet, you start listening. You start noticing, and you discover that silence is not empty. It's full of lessons, full of renewal, full of the raw material for your next beginning. So if you find yourself in one of those silent spaces right now, breathe. Don't rush to escape it. Don't assume it means you've failed. Recognize it for what it is. The pause that gives meaning to the music. The stillness that allows the next version of you to take shape. The silence you fear is not your ending. It's the sacred pause preparing you for your next becoming. We grow up believing identity is something fixed, that who we are is this solid, unchanging thing, our personality, our habits, our story. But if you've ever gone through a season of deep transformation, you know that's not true. Identity is fluid. It's not a stone carving. It's a symphony. And like all great music, it evolves, it changes tempo, it builds, it breaks. It comes together again in ways you never could have predicted. What makes identity tricky is that we often mistake our past roles, our mistakes, or even our successes as the whole song. We get attached to a single note, a single movement, and we call it who we are. But your identity isn't one note. It's the entire composition, and it's still being written. Every struggle you've walked through, every silence you've sat in, every risk you've taken, they're all part of the music of you. Even the dissonance, the parts that sound off, give the symphony its depth. When you begin to see yourself this way, something shifts. You stop clinging so tightly to labels. You stop saying, "This is just who I am," as if you've been permanently locked into one way of being. Instead, you realize that identity is dynamic. It bends, it stretches, it expands with experience. And the very moments you thought broke you are the ones adding the deepest notes to your melody. Think about times when you've surprised yourself, when you did something you never imagined you could, or when you handled something harder than you thought possible. In those moments, a new movement of your symphony was revealed. That wasn't you becoming someone different. That was you discovering a part of yourself that had been waiting to be heard. Transformation doesn't erase the old notes. It layers new ones on top, creating harmony where there once was only simplicity. Of course, the mind resists this. It wants certainty. It wants to know exactly who you are and who you'll always be. But transformation pulls us into a different truth, that you are far more spacious than you realize. You are a work of art in motion, and like any great symphony, you can't always predict the next movement. You just have to trust that the music knows where it's going, even if you don't. What's beautiful is that every identity shift you experience doesn't just change how you see yourself, it changes how you show up in the world. When you embrace a new movement in your symphony, you give others permission to expand theirs. When you stop clinging to one narrow version of yourself, you allow your life to resonate more fully, more authentically. And that resonance reaches farther than you think. There's freedom in this perspective. You no longer have to be trapped by who you were yesterday. You're not confined to a single role, or a single chapter, or a single mistake. You're not even defined by a single triumph. You are defined by the ongoing music that keeps unfolding right here, right now. The question isn't, who am I once and for all? The question is, what movement of my symphony is playing in this moment, and how can I allow it to rise fully? So if you feel like you're changing, if you feel like parts of you no longer fit, don't panic. That's not you losing yourself, it's you expanding into a new movement of your song. That's the psychology of self-transformation, realizing you were never meant to stay in one melody forever. You are not a single note. You are the symphony still unfolding. We spend so much of our lives trying to control things. We plan, we strategize, we push. We grip so tightly to how we think life should unfold that we forget the truth. Transformation isn't something you can force. It's something you align with, and alignment requires surrender. Now, surrender doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for the universe to hand you your future. It means loosening your grip on the illusion that you can control every detail. It means trusting that the rhythm of life, the ups, the downs, the shadows, the breakthroughs isn't random. It's part of a design that's carrying you somewhere you can't yet see. When we resist, when we fight reality, we suffer twice. First from the challenge itself, and then from the frustration that it doesn't look the way we think it should. But when you surrender, something powerful happens. The energy you once spent resisting gets redirected into moving forward. You stop wasting time arguing with life and start working with it. Think about the hardest seasons of your life. At some point, no matter how much you resisted, no matter how much you tried to force things to go your way, you had to surrender. You had to accept what was happening, even if you didn't like it. And the moment you did, even in the middle of the pain, something shifted. You felt lighter. You found a small opening to take a step forward. Surrender doesn't erase the struggle, but it transforms how you walk through it. It's the same with transformation. You cannot grow if you're clinging to who you were. You cannot step into a new movement of your symphony if you're still gripping the last note. Surrender is the bridge between the old and the new, it says. I trust this process even when I don't understand it. I trust that the shadows have something to teach me just as much as the light. I trust that life knows where it's taking me, even if I can't see the map. And here's the paradox. Surrender takes more strength than control. Control is about fear, it's about holding tight so you don't lose something. Surrender is about courage. It's about opening your hands and saying, I trust that what's meant for me will remain, and what's not will fall away. That's not weakness, that's radical strength. The psychology of self-transformation is not about building a perfect version of yourself. It's about learning how to flow with the rhythm of your becoming. Sometimes that rhythm feels fast, sometimes it slows down, sometimes it carries you into places you never imagined you'd go. Surrender allows you to move with it instead of fighting against it. And the more you surrender, the more you discover that life has always been conspiring to grow you, not to break you. Look back. Every time you thought something was falling apart, it was actually falling into place. Every ending carved space for a beginning. Every detour revealed a road you wouldn't have chosen, but one that shaped you in ways the straight path never could. That's surrender. It's trusting that the pattern only makes sense when you step back far enough to see the whole design. So if you feel yourself clinging right now, if you're gripping tightly to how things used to be or how you think they should be, I invite you to release just a little. Breathe. Let life move through you instead of trying to control it. Because transformation doesn't happen by force, it happens by flow. The moment you surrender is the moment life finally has the freedom to carry you into who you were always meant to become. One of the most powerful truths about transformation is this: it's never just about you. Yes, it begins with you. Your awareness, your struggle, your silence, your shifting identity, your surrender. But the impact doesn't stop there. Transformation is like a stone dropped in water. It ripples outward, touching shores you may never even see. We often believe our personal growth is private, something that lives only inside our own lives. But every choice you make, every breakthrough you experience, changes how you show up in the world. And when you change how you show up, you change the energy of every room you walk into. You change how you love, how you listen, how you lead. Your transformation doesn't just alter your path, it alters the paths of the people connected to you. Think about someone who's inspired you. Maybe they didn't even set out to inspire. Maybe they were just doing their own work, showing up for their own life with honesty and courage. Yet watching them gave you permission to believe more was possible for yourself. That's the ripple effect. Transformation is contagious. When one person chooses to grow, it awakens the possibility in others. This is why the psychology of self-transformation isn't just about self, it's about the greater whole. We are all threads in the same tapestry, and when one thread shifts, the entire design is affected. Your courage weaves strength into the fabric. Your resilience adds depth. Your willingness to surrender adds harmony. We're interconnected, whether we see it or not, and it works in both directions. Just as your growth ripples outward, the growth of others ripples into you. None of us transform in isolation. We are constantly shaping and being shaped by the people around us, by the stories we hear, by the examples we witness. Transformation is both deeply personal and profoundly communal. The danger is forgetting this. When we see transformation only as an individual pursuit, we can become consumed with self-improvement as if it's just about building a better me. But the truth is, transformation expands beyond the self. It's about becoming more fully yourself, so you can contribute more fully to the world. It's about realizing that the work you do within you becomes a gift to everyone connected to you. And this perspective changes how you walk through your own process. Suddenly, the struggle feels less meaningless when you realize someone else might one day find strength in your story. The silence feels less empty when you realize it's shaping you to hold space for another. The surrender feels less frightening when you realize your courage may be the spark someone else desperately needs. Your transformation is not just your journey. It's part of the cosmic dance we're all moving through. Each time you rise, the whole rises. Each time you heal, the whole heals. Each time you expand, the whole expands. That's the beauty of it. You are not separate from the greater design. You are an essential part of it. So, when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if all this inner work is worth it, remember this. You are not just transforming for you. You are transforming for every person who will cross your path, for every life that will be touched by your presence, for every thread of the tapestry that will be shifted because you had the courage to grow. Your transformation is the note that doesn't just change your song. It deepens the harmony of the whole.